Welcome, one and all, to the Lager Logs Points of View with Tom and Stu and Ken. I'm Tom, he's Stu, he's Ken. Say hello, Stu and Ken, at the exact same time.
Hello.
That was... Stu, you didn't even say hello, did you?
I know, I was letting our guests go
Guys,
first.
come on. Have you not been practicing that? You've had at least 48 hours to do that.
Come on, some cunts got to have manners.
Fucking. Yeah, Ken.
You let the elders speak first. That's correct.
He's right. Yes, Stu. Yes, listeners, as you can probably tell, we have a very special episode on our hands tonight for a couple of reasons. One being, yes, it's been a whole 12 months and a couple of weeks. What can I say? Our logs are always a little bit fashionably late. That's what they invented prunes for, I suppose. Yes, a whole 12 months and a couple of weeks since we dropped our very first episode, and we thought we'd celebrate tonight with a very special film and a very special guest. We'll be giving a running, well, more of a jogging, slow walk, complete standstill, eventually commentary on Edgar Wright's classic science fiction comedy, The World's End, and we'll be doing it all with Podcast on Fire, So Good Reviews, and all-round sleazy legend, Mr. Kenneth Brawson. A round of applause, please. Come on, Stu. For the film. Can you get a little one also? Just like this.
Thanks very much.
A little bit quieter, but no less meaningful. Kenny, first off, how are you, dude? Special guest tonight. Excited to be here?
It's very fun. It's a different vibe to my regular podcast. I've never been on a drinking podcast, which is why I essentially am not drinking, because I'm one of those boring kids.
It'll be the first and the last.
I don't like loud noises or fun, so this is going to be great for you listeners.
Try and lower the volume a little bit. Stu, old buddy, old friend, old pal of mine, how are you? Is that acceptable, Ken?
My blood is already boiling.
Stu, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm thirsty.
Me too, man. I'm ready to party. I'm ready to get this celebration on the road. I will be drinking Banks's Bitter tonight, a classic British brewer, to complement the film somewhat. Guys, what are we sipping on this evening? Stu, do you want to go first?
I'm more or less just hauled out a couple of tins from the beer 52 box.
Nice.
So I'll rattle those off as I'm having them, and just a Budweiser as well.
Nice.
Not sure if it's like a palate cleanser or.
Good selection. Good selection. We got any more stouts in there, or are they all gone?
No, they've not been touched yet. You only have stout on a Sunday, Tom.
Is that how it works? Is it during Mass or after Mass?
Isn't it the blood of Christ?
I don't know. I think you need to see a doctor if it's that dark. There might be some kind of clotting going on there.
Scottish Mass.
Yeah, that's how Scottish Mass.
That should be Buckfast then, really, to be honest.
It was. Ken, what are you drinking tonight? Hopefully not Buckfast, because you probably won't make it through the film. You'll probably be out smashing windows instead. What are you sipping on, bud?
I suppose so. Well, I'm not a drinker, not anymore. So I bought something non-alcoholic, but I thought if I'm going to show up, I should at least adhere to the theme of the show and buy something from the off license. Is that what you call it? I learned that phrase from watching UK sitcoms.
The Offie, yeah,
definitely. The Offie. So yeah. I bought two non-alcoholic ciders, kiwi cucumber and apple cider with hints of peach. So that's cool.
Very nice,
I abandoned alcohol and took on cannabis instead. So, but I'm not gonna do that either, because I don't when I record these things. So
another show that is
possible. I don't know about you guys. I don't know anything about alcohol in general, nor non-alcoholic. But I thought like non-alcoholic beer just sounded kind of odd, but non-alcoholic cider sounded more. I don't know. It made more sense, and I can't explain anything else beyond that.
I think because the fruitiness gives it more like a juice kind of squash vibe, doesn't it? Where if it's just beer, it's just kind of non-alcoholic beer rather than kind of anything else fancy. But
yeah, so
I think good pick, man. I'm thank you for joining us in that
much for
regard.
having
We really appreciate it, buddy. And yeah, thanks for going all out with the brewskis.
2 of them.
Jeez, this guy's going to be an absolute mess by the end of the film. Listeners,
0.0%. It's literally that. Like if you were in doubt, it says non-alcoholic on the thing. But if you were in any doubt, they put the data on there as well.
If anyone was wondering, Ken's definitely legit this evening. So listeners, how this works is you have a few moments right now to get the film rolling and then pause as soon as it begins. We're all watching the UK Blu-ray tonight, so you might have a different copy. The timing might be a bit different somewhat, but our copy runs at 1 hour 49 minutes and 7 seconds. So if you're playing with that copy tonight, you'll be good to go. So yeah, pause as soon as it begins. You're still on the 00. What's the dots in the middle? Dot. It's like dots, 1 dot on top, 1 dot at the bottom. I don't know what that is, but 00, dot at the top, dot at the bottom, 00 mark, as we'll be doing also, or have already done. And yeah, then proceed to buckle ourselves in. We'll have a countdown, then all hit play together, hosts and listeners alike, and thus begins this evening's commentary. Right, guys? Before we go on, anybody need PP, brewski, snacky? Have you closed the windows? Got your medication? Are we actually recording? Are we here, or are we just avatars in an artificial reality enslaved by robotic rulers? Please, someone let me know.
We're all fine.
That's the absolute bare minimum that I can hope for. So
that's the utterance of a very excited stoner. We're all fine.
Is that as excited as you're going to get this evening, Ken? We're in for a treat, man. We're in for a treat.
Well,
but no, guys, glad, really happy you're both here. Glad we're doing this. Looking forward to it. So I'm on pause at the moment. Should we do 3, 2, 1, press play on 1, or how are we going to do this?
Press play on play. That's
3, 2, 1, play.
Yes, sir. That always works in my experience.
3, 2. Stu, how are you feeling about this, man?
Happy and ready to go.
Let's do it then, man. So I will be saying, don't do it on this one, but I will be saying 3, 2, 1, play in a moment. We're all going to hit play. When I said play, it's going to line up. It's going to be beautiful. So here I go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh no, my laptop's shutting down.
Cancel the recording. That's it. It's over already. Stu messed it up. Jeez, Stu. Come on, man.
So I'm going for a swift recovery.
Was that the backup plan, was it?
Yes.
Good ball,
if all
man.
goes
Good
wrong,
ball.
just drink.
Yes, that's what I do in a crisis. Lads, how familiar are you with the film this evening? This is my kind of 4th or 5th time.
Oh boy, it's a favorite, all right.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was always my least favorite, the trilogy, but now it's definitely my favorite.
How so? Is it funny, or is it because it's a little bit poignant, or it makes you think a little bit too?
Definitely, man. I think it's got both of those elements to it, I think, which I really like. It is funny, but it's also got that kind of pathos to it, which I really, really dig. So I think that's that kind of what puts it above the rest for me. How about you guys?
It's a first time watch for me. I simply never pursued it. Little bit discouraged after I never thought Hot Fuzz clicked all the way through. I still don't.
Yeah. Maybe so.
And then I think it's out there. I think it's about this scenario, but it's about something supernatural as well. I'll get to it eventually, and this was a good opportunity to see it for the first time.
Yeah, what's exciting about this film, I think, is if you always tell someone or recommend to someone without letting them know kind of what exactly happens, because I think the third act does kind of come out of nowhere. It slowly kind of creeps up a little bit, but I think in general it kind of comes out of nowhere, and if you're not expecting it, it's a real treat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in hindsight, they're having a lot of fun with clues in dialogue and visually, which you will notice both on first and second viewing. There's a lot of things about we're going to get annihilated, the end is nigh.
Yeah.
But during second viewing, you can sort of pick up some more clues. I think about maybe when they reach Newton Haven, the clues are very much on display. But is Newton Haven a real place? Does anyone know that? Is that completely made up?
This is something that we probably should have checked beforehand, right, Stu?
Totally.
You're
What do
English
you
and you're
understand,
Scottish.
Tom?
You should know your geography.
Yes, it is. Well, no, it's a fictional town depicted in the movie. I'll have a look into kind of locations where it was filmed, maybe later on in the.
I've already just went and done a wee
Lovely
Google. It's Hertfordshire.
There we are.
Yeah.
There we are. So, but yeah, I think, yeah, what you were saying, Ken, or to expand on what you were saying, there's definitely a lot of great payoffs, a lot of things that are kind of hinted at, and I think it really works well on repeated viewings because you start to kind of see the stuff that's the clues, as you say, that are put there in the beginning of the film. This intro is great. It's I think like the other two films in the series, that being Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy, it captures like small town England perfectly.
And it's also his personal, like, quick cut, intense style, which it's here for a purpose. It's a story. It's a flashback, and but that's a style that I think he's worked fairly well. There's always these repetitive, and I don't mean that in a bad way, these repetitive images. In this case, it's the pints being poured and things like that. There's always like an audio-visual element to Edgar's film, but obviously he slows down here because we realize that this is clearly not him hanging out with his friends. This is therapy of sorts. So it's the sort of first hint that not everything worked out that well, and he's possessing. He's got problems still to deal with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you were referring to the kind of Sam Raimi-esque quick cuts, Ken, that Wright does a lot, because there's quite a few of them. I think it's maybe a little bit less in this film, but there's a few of them still in this film. The kind of quick cuts, kind of zoom ins, which always work really well.
Well, you pick your moments, and I think Edgar in generally does that well. Shaun of the Dead has a couple of those elements. I also remember that it's a little bit Guy Ritchie in style, of course, and it can go further back than that. A little bit Tony Scott frenzy to the visuals in a way, but I don't mind
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little Tony Scott with a little bit of restraint, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the era you were watching, Tony Scott's films, they were quite frantic, and some eras were just stylish and smoky and colorful. Days of Thunder wasn't like Man on Fire, let's just say. Different types of styles in those.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, his 80s style was kind of a lot different to what it did in the kind of 90s and beyond. So more kind of talking towards the kind of late 90s, I suppose, early 2000s kind of style is what you're referring to.
So is there a question baked into the plan here of have you done this? Have you done a pub crawl into this? I wouldn't know because I don't have 12 pubs in my small little town, so I couldn't. But I'm like this guy where he asks like, haven't you ever wanted to do that again? No. Not particularly, no. I'm kind of this guy. So, have you ever attempted anything akin to this, lads?
Every weekend, man. Of course. No, I wish there was 12 pubs. Kind of, probably is 12 pubs, but a bit more kind of further away, or further away from each other. That compared to kind of what we have here. But yeah, man, I think it's one of them we all do, especially when we're young and feeling a bit indestructible. But I think the closest I ever got was 10 pints, and that was I
don't get it. Is it one per pub, or
it's got to be one
per
pub? Yeah, do one per pub and then move on to the.
Because they mentioned 50 at one point in the movie. I was like, 50 across 12? Are you kidding me?
Well, no, that's 10 pints each. Yeah.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
So maybe 50 pints per person would be a bit excessive, a tad excessive, I would think. Stu, you've done that though, right? 50 is just walk in the park for you. That's Tuesday morning, right?
in a year. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Easy.
You ever attempted something like that, man?
I once, yeah, maybe in the last 5 years, and it didn't plan to be one, but we just ended up going to every pub in sort of the high street, and
Nice.
it came to maybe about 8 or 9 bars by the end of it, and it was a case of sinking a Budweiser in each one of them, and we went through every pub, and by the time we got to the last place, which was a nightclub, one of my friends fell over and face planted on the road,
Yeah.
and the bouncers wouldn't let us into the club, and I was more than happy about that.
You didn't decide to, like, drive the car through the pub and let yourself, we'll get out and pour yourself a pint, no?
No, by that point, when he fell over, I was like, well, now I'm sober.
Now,
So, like, you just kind of like, right, help you up. Okay, let's get a taxi and get out of here.
all over then, dude. All over then. But yeah, I think it's kind of what a lot of people do when they're young, Ken. To kind of answer your question, I think we all have. Definitely, I say you get a bit older and your tolerance goes down a little bit, even with something you really love, like beer.
That's probably why I stopped drinking, because my tolerance just went. I was totally dismantled in terms of tolerance. Like this is not working anymore. So let's just stop this. I got a little bit of a David Brent vibe to Simon Pegg's character.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, happy.
Yeah.
Ooh, get out, fuck machine, or get you, fuck machine.
Man.
I just thought that was English folk.
Yeah, you might be on something there, Stu. But I think, yeah, you could tell.
You know why it makes sense that it is David Brent in style, because there's pathos behind the Ricky Gervais character, David Brent in The Office.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's probably the most interesting aspect of this movie to me, that to see Simon Pegg, clearly from the beginning, he is, he's stuck in. In early adulthood mode, if that. He's happy about having fun, of course, but he's not, not being able once to make it to the world's end, and now possibly being able to make it to the world's end. Is that going to automatically change things? And it seems like, judging by the fact that he's in therapy at the beginning, this is not the solution for things. So it's interesting, without being, heavy necessarily, but it's interesting to see that he's not progressing. He's regressing a little bit.
Yeah, I think, and obviously the Office itself was a kind of huge influence on British comedy that's still felt to this day. So I think this might have a little bit of that kind of in it, in terms of a little bit of DNA. And obviously Martin Freeman here kind of playing a big role in the Office as well.
Playing what Martin Freeman plays best is reacting to chaotic characters in his environment.
Definitely.
A sort of internal sigh or external sigh.
Yeah, he's a great straight man, I think.
Look at the camera and sort of like look at the camera and non-verbally ask the camera, like, can you see this? Can you see what's going on? He was so great at playing with the camera in The Office, Martin Freeman, in that regard.
Yeah, fantastic. And he's really good in this as well. But yeah, makes a perfect straight man to the kind of silliness. And he gets some great reactions and just plays with the material really well. But yeah, I think in this film, as well as the other trilogy, as always, Edgar Wright makes some fantastic musical choices. And it's like Inception, because he chooses music tracks that sample film dialogue for the film.
Yeah, I saw in the subtitles
awesome.
That they, and I wasn't sure about it, that it says Peter Fonda in the subtitles. I was thinking, like, is this something Easy Rider or something like that? Because
yeah, the dialogue. No, is it the Wild Ones? It's sampled from. I can't remember now. It's the Primal Scream.
Maybe, but it happens during the therapy sequence. It says Peter Fonda in the subtitles, and I'm not terribly familiar with Easy Rider or the Wild Ones, but he's a film fan, music fan, but I suppose the music, retro throwback music, obviously makes sense, because these boys are, reliving a memory of sorts. So I heard Swede on the soundtrack at one point. So obviously that
it's got a fantastic soundtrack. This has really kind of great picks. And yeah, I think I really like the unfinished business angle, the nostalgia that brings and the pathos, and the notion of kind of growing up and the bittersweetness that comes with that, kind of looking at the past and stuff. It's just really, really good. Really, really works. But so Tom's first interesting IMDb trivia fact of the film. I've got to shorten that down a little bit. In every pub, the emblem of the network, 5 vertical lines, longest in the middle, can be seen on the beer taps.
Yeah, that's something for high definition freeze frame, because Edgar's films move quite fast. So
I wanted a few off you lads, but I just Stu, you asleep already? We've only had a couple of sips.
I mean, he even hinted at it in the commentary that all the guys' names are sort of medieval type of names, different statuses. A page, a king. There's hints at Camelot.
Exactly.
Knightly, Chamberlain, Prince. So yeah, there's a lot again. Like I was saying with repeated viewings, there's a lot packed in. And it really works on rewatches, because there's things that you missed the first time, second time. Because there's things that, as I say, I'm probably about 4 or 5 watches into it, and there's still things now that I kind of notice.
Look how happy Paddy Constantine is.
He's just happy to be there. Is that
the guy who plays the fitness, not instructor, but the guy who has an affair with the fitness instructor? Is that the guy you're referring to?
Yeah, he's got
in the middle.
23-year-old fitness instructor girlfriend. I think that's which he always seems very happy about. But yeah, it's got a great cast of British actors, and I think Edgar Wright's one of those people that always with his films tends to think, okay, who do I really want in this film? And like similar to Tarantino, really big film fans, a lot of influences, and tends to kind of say, yeah, I want this person and that person, kind of packs them in together and gets them in the same film, which is always really awesome.
I wonder how much he sort of cranks the budget by having to clear so many elements out of popular culture, whether music or obviously the Sisters of Mercy T-shirt. I wonder if he's a nightmare in terms of like, I want this and I want this, I want this, and and you deal with it. The persons who deal with that.
Yeah, I would think so. He's definitely very particular. And always kind of very personal with his choices, whether it be, I say, like stylistic choices, music choices, etc. So I suppose he is a bit of a nightmare, but we always end up getting fantastic films out of it. So,
I mean, they seem complete enough. I don't think I've seen anything beyond these 3, to be honest. I haven't seen the Pilgrim one or the Baby Driver one, but I suppose those are just a reek of those are wild and sort of visually driven movies, and that probably applies to the music and the visual content. So I suppose someone needs to have an eye on the legal stuff.
Yeah, definitely. He's always got like a very personal style, or a very specific style. You can kind of tell. I haven't seen Baby Driver, but Scott Pilgrim's fun. I haven't seen it for a long time, but is it really?
Yeah, definitely. That's one where it's almost like you're watching a musical, because the cast are working in time with the soundtrack.
Yeah,
like a chase sequence, and every footstep the main character makes is in time with like the drums of this certain song, and
it's amazing. Yeah, it's kind of like his musical choices taken to the nth degree. With that, it sounds like. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim was okay as well.
Wasn't in it.
Yeah, probably a reason why I haven't pursued that like intensely. Like that guy.
Can I get Christopher Plummer now? Damn
it. Deep fake Plummer into it.
Yeah.
Don't care if it takes all the money in the world. Do it.
Just do it.
There's a little challenge with this film is to tolerate Simon Pegg's character, because they really play up the fact that he is intolerable to the premium degree. He's reckless in traffic, and he's a liar and manipulator, and for some reason he's playing arcade when he was just going to hit the loo. And there's a purpose to this, but I don't know what you you guys think that was like a challenge to overcome? Because I don't think he's the fun guy to be around. This
No.
type of person that would just grate on at least me.
Well, maybe a fun guy to be around, but obviously not the most responsible. But I think, he doesn't start off in a particularly likable light, and I think he works for it. And I think once you get to kind of halfway, definitely when we get
he's
to the end
great,
of the film,
but it's
he's
one of those
definitely
things
likable.
where you got to work to make audiences get on your side in terms of a character like this.
I think Pegg does it really well. I think maybe if his previous roles weren't so well established, he'd have a bit more difficulty, because I think, but a lot of, he's always played likable guys, and I think because of that, people with this film at least, audiences will kind of sit through, his bullshit for a bit to kind of find that likability there. Because I think if it was maybe his first film or something, it would be a bit of a uphill battle. But no, he's great, and it's a bit of a different role for him, especially compared to his previous roles in the trilogy.
I mean, granted, in Shaun of the Dead, he had to change his life and be better and make something of himself. So there was elements of a trajectory from someone who is definitely not progressing either in Shaun of the Dead until he has to man up and deal with that film's outbreak. And with Hot Fuzz, I think that there are elements there of he's very much a proactive character, but as a person, there's a lovely bit of dialogue in Hot Fuzz about where he sort of openly admits, albeit in a drunken stupor, that I can't disconnect my head from my work. It's not in my DNA. I thought those moments were lovely. The reason I had a problem with Hot Fuzz, by the way, is when they make the town like gun-toting badasses, all the editors of the town all of a sudden and it really didn't click with me, because now it's making fun of action movies, and I was following this movie in a sort of comedy thriller trajectory, and I thought that action climax never really worked for me personally.
I think like the other films in the series, it's a bit of a love letter to the genres, and maybe that one pushes it a little too far, but I think it still works regardless. But like you were saying, I think Pegg always has a bit of a redemption arc to his characters within the trilogy a little bit, and this is no different.
It's a loosest sort of trilogy because it's not a plot element in either of them, so it's almost like they're
it's an ice cream element.
It's an ice cream element, and where is it in this other than the end? I suppose it's only at the end, and in Hot Fuzz I think they buy an ice cream at one point.
It's in every movie. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like it really doesn't connect the movies. It's almost like we're going to call it a trilogy based on absolutely the loosest like fleeting element that's in the movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I say there's a few things that cross over, but kind of story wise, they're all kind of completely different.
Which but they one all did you share... like best, Stuart, out of the Cornetto trilogy?
You're not going to ask me first. Go on, Stu.
I probably. I was a big fan of Shaun of the Dead when it first came out. Hot Fuzz was fine, but it was always a long film to me.
Definitely.
It had a lot of ground to cover. I feel like this is a good underdog film.
Definitely, man. Yeah. I think probably Hot Fuzz is the weakest of the trilogy, but it's still a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, when did you... Okay, we know the answer for Ken, but when did you first see The World's End?
I think about a year after it came out, so it kind of flew under the radar for me a little bit. But yeah, I didn't really get on with it the first time I saw it for some reason.
That seems to be the common reaction.
Yeah.
I saw it in its cinema run. It might have not been the opening weekend, but definitely whilst it was still in cinemas. I remember dragging my wife along. I think she might have still been like pregnant when we were expecting our first child, and it's still like height of summer in the third hall of this cinema that the speakers were that loud it was sending ripples across the screen. It was definitely a very makeshift cinema, but it was the only one showing it.
Okay. Was it a bit of a rarity in terms of
It
screenings?
was down to like how far you needed to travel, and this one was like, right, this is one bus journey to the cinema. This is
okay.
not two, so we'll go for this one. But it was roasting. But no, I've always kind of been a fan of this one from the beginning, even though when we were planning this and we found out obviously the DVD I had was an hour and 44 and the Blu-rays you had was an hour and 49. It's like, how was this film that fucking long?
You managed to score the word print.
This should have been 90 minutes. But you forget there's more than just like a pub crawl involved in this film.
Yeah, maybe Wright kind of learned his lesson from the last film a little bit and tend to cut it down a tad, because Hot Fuzz is over 2 hours, right? A little bit over 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe with this one he started to trim it down a bit. I do like this poke at Weatherspoons with every bar being the same. It's kind of a bit, it's a bit on the nose, I suppose. They don't actually name them, but you can kind of tell what it's about. But yeah, it's a great gag. But
unresolved conflicts.
Yeah. It's it's interesting you say it, Stu, because a lot of people tend to kind of dig it, I think, later on. But as I was saying before, it might be a lot of that, the kind of callbacks to stuff probably works a bit better second or third time, because there's a lot of it, there's a lot packed into it. So maybe that's what it is. It's not maybe as straightforward as Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz.
For me, Shaun of the Dead is the strongest, because I really thought they hit the nail on the head in terms of balancing the homage they were paying to George Romero, but also making their own fun scenario with their own sort of now quoted type of comedy, and I'm sure there's memes galore that came out of Shaun of the Dead. but what really worked is that I always admire when fanboys get the homage right, because it's not enough just to sort of hint at George Romero's movie by naming a zombie pub, or whatever, or setting it in a shopping center. That's us being very detail oriented. No, they really got that right. It's a difficult balance to even explain how to get the homage right without slowing down your own new film. And they got it right to the degree that George Romero loved Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, absolutely adored it. He put those guys in Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead, which was the year after, if I remember. So
sure,
yeah.
So they're two zombies, two chained up zombies in Land of the Dead, Edgar and Simon. So there's no greater accomplishment or compliment, I suppose, that the master said they did all right.
Yeah, definitely, because those guys, love him, and as you say, it was a huge homage to that film. So yeah, it's awesome to kind of filmmaker to pay respect in that way.
This is more like it, a completely different pub. Do they all look the same around your haunt, guys? Are they all Starbucked or whatever the term they use in the movie?
Yeah, so like your Witherspoons trend, they're kind of a little bit more modern now. This is kind of more old fashioned. Compared to
I think they're all
end.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, as I said, there's a lot. You got to really look for the pubs that aren't Wetherspoons now, and the kind of older pubs, and the ones that I enjoy, the ones with a bit more soul and a bit more history. It is difficult, but they'll turn anything into a Wetherspoons now. But at the end of the day, if these pubs are struggling and they're going to close, I'd rather it be a Wetherspoons than be completely out of commission. Some of these kind of very historical buildings, so are sometimes saved by Wetherspoons. So it's a blessing and a curse. But my second interesting trivia slice of I need to come up with a better title for this. When, as we're about to see now, Sam joins the boys at the Old Familiar, everyone stands to greet her except for Gary. This alludes to their medieval names, King, Knightley, Page, Chamberlain, Prince, where everyone in the King's Court would rise to greet a visitor except for the King himself.
Nice. It's,
Ooh.
I wouldn't have known that.
Well,
Unless
I'm
you
I
glad.
did do a bit of sleuthing on Reddit before coming
Oh,
on
okay.
here, and there is a nice number association with the pubs as well.
Is there?
Yeah, every pub, obviously, they're going through the numbers. So first post is the first pub, and in the signage in the pubs, they have signs like buy one, get one free. When it comes to the second pub, the Old Familiar, 2 new guest styles every
Yeah.
month. So by the time like the third pub, the fourth pub, all the signage in there will be something relating to that number of pub that they're in, all the way to the World's End.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nice little bit of detail there.
Here's Gone Girl and Bond Girl.
Yeah,
Get it?
there's. I did like that one, Ken, very much. Yeah, there was a bit of a Bond connection with this film. Obviously, Brosnan, Pierce Brosnan shows up later, and they
He
were
was never
both.
Bond, was he? Sorry, I'm messing with you.
Like Tom is like, I'm the utmost Bond expert in the group here.
Fuck off. Go to that.
I
No
think
way.
Brosnan was in.
The cunt from The Foreigner? No way.
Yeah. You really have to continue to deal with Gary being so intolerable. He thinks that Rosamund Pike gave him a sign to follow her into the loo, and he thinks he's so good at like picking up the signs. He's just so lost, and I think he's 16 still, and yeah, it's. I don't know. I think it's earlier, but at one point, I love a little bit what when Peg talks about someone called Karen Egerton that he had sex with, and he says that, remember Karen Egerton, and he puts his finger, he makes a hole with his fingers and puts a finger through that hole. Remember Karen Egerton, who I fucked? You did this. You did the symbol. You did the act with your fingers. You didn't need to say fucked. Which is a fun thing. In speaking of cursing, according to the commentary, Edgar wrote to the BBFC, checking how many times they could say cunts in the film to not get an 18 presumably, because you don't want an 18 nowadays for every film you make. And they got a polite sort of technical letter back outlining how many times they could and in what way they could use it. So the BBFC will answer queries on the subject of the C word.
Very, very interesting. But I think that's, I think these days or in recent years, I think the BBFC tends to be a bit more helpful
over hedges.
than we get a jump over the edge. We get a jump over a fence or through a fence later as well. Which appears in all 3 films of the trilogy. But yeah, I think the BBFC tends to be a bit more helpful these days rather than snip happy, which is.
It's apparently quite hard to get an 18 nowadays. I remember Mark Kermode talked about that, and it's even if you curse away like this movie certainly does, they really don't hand out these 18s like they used to back in the day.
Definitely not. No.
Which is and so sometimes that's. When you go lower, so some movies want to be 12 for the commercial aspect of the film, so they cut out pieces of violence from it. Otherwise, it would have been a 15 just to get some sort of extra £1 million into its box office earnings and all of that, which I don't particularly like because it's not obscene to be 15.
No, definitely not. This is. I mean, we've all done it, right?
No, we haven't. Definitely not.
At least there are no cigarettes in the beers left behind. There were cigarettes in the ashtray, thankfully. So but I suppose it's daytime, so people are not sloppy in that regard by this point.
No.
Saying that, I actually kind of had to do something like that once.
Oh no! Here we go.
Like,
Let's see.
I got a round in. By the time I got back to the table with the 4 pints, everyone left the pub and decided to go to a house party. And
without you, where were you? What happened?
So I was at the pub. I was at the bar getting around it and turn around. They had fucked off. And I was standing there holding 4 beers. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I just remember taking.
Did you shower that day?
I had to take a good big gulp of each pint just so I kind of said, right, I got my money's worth. And I remember promptly throwing up into my shirt later on.
Ooh, sounds like a very good night. Yeah, speaking of smoking in pubs, is that something that you can still do over there, Ken, or is that something they stopped a long time ago, like they did over here?
Do what in pubs?
Smoke.
Oh no! For heaven's sake! No. I mean,
No.
indoor smoke.
Was
It's
it
the
a
same.
thing?
Yeah, sure. When you can smoke in restaurants, you can smoke indoors at pubs for sure, and in clubs and whatever. And but no, whenever the law was put into the books, then no. I couldn't imagine going back to that era. Where people
It was
smoked
different,
indoors,
yeah. Especially when you didn't smoke, it was,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it was always a bit smelly in there. I think I don't like it, but it's funny how some pubs still have that smell now, that cigarette smell. It must just kind of be ingrained in the furniture or like the ceiling. But yeah, I think it's definitely become a lot better now for people who don't smoke.
I like
And
that
it's definitely
they've
that
actually
thing.
they're actually enjoying themselves now. They're enjoying reminiscing.
Starting to
So
get into it,
it's
yeah.
not like Peg is being obnoxious. Now they're talking about old memories, about Frost's character falling asleep on a snooker table, and when he woke up, people say it's a year later, it's 1991, and that's good. That's good nostalgia. That's not being stuck. So I think there's like a neat balance, and they're getting a little bit hammered. The ones that are drinking at this point, Nick Frost isn't, and so I like that. Obviously, things are going to change when he goes into the loo sometime soon.
Yeah, I think Nick Frost's character has the most extreme transition into kind of his feelings towards the night and his feelings towards.
But here, Peg is like they've been having a great old deep conversation, and not a second later after he's put a period into that shots.
Mhm.
I mean, you kind of like him. You think he's gonna listen for once for like 30 seconds, but no, he's in his own world.
Yeah.
And he's already ordered shots while the guy was talking about his past with bullying.
Yeah,
So-
that's another great moment. That is, it gets a fantastic payoff towards the end of the film. That kind of side story that we have. Which
There's always that one person on the night out that fucking gets shots.
always, dude. Yeah, I
Like the
suppose
last few ones,
the person
it
who's had
was
the
just
most.
all dudes enjoying a beer, and then some cunt come across singing tequila with
Yeah.
a tray of tequila, and I was like,
And,
really? Do we
man,
have to go there?
always
Can't we
the
just stay here?
It's always the
No.
person who's the most drunkest. And it just ruins your kind of palate the whole night, and then you can't go back to beer. It's dreadful. Someone buys you Bacardi Breezer. It's all over after that. Like, there's no way you're going back to beer.
You may as well wrap your lips around a blue wicket at that point.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
But have you been the guy steward who orders shots and sings
No,
tequila
no.
while carrying a tray of tequila?
No, there's just been
He
one
wants
guy
to be. He's
on the
working
last
towards
two
it.
work nights out, and he's done it both times. It's like, you bastards. Please don't.
It's the first movie in this trilogy where Peg and Frost's character are not necessarily getting on until very, very late in the film. Their best is in the first, and they get friendly eventually in Hot Fuzz. But Nick Frost is very obviously he wants to be Peg's friend in that one because he's cool. He's the super cop. And here they're defo not friends. And you knew already that he wasn't sincere when he was telling everybody his mom had died of cancer. You can sort of read on Peg's face that he's doing an awful thing by lying about something like that. It's one of those things you're gonna go to hell, buddy, if you evoke the cancer card when it's a big old fat lie.
Yeah, there's a bit of kind of distrust there on the kind of side of the characters and also the audience itself. To be honest, I think at the beginning, like you were saying, Kim.
I mean,
He does
even when
have
he's
to work
asked
a little
to explain the funeral, how was it? I can only describe it in 2 words.
Yes, good.
Really, really sad. Oh no, that's 2. No, that's 3 words. Really sad. I mean,
And this is kind of the part of the film where we kind of, it's like a from dusk till dawn
Yeah,
Like, if you're going
definitely,
into it just
definitely.
thinking it's a pub crawl movie, like these are just guys going to a titty bar. What do you mean they're vampires?
Yeah, I think
Which
it's a
honestly, this would have worked even without this element. I could have foreseen like an alternative version of this where they simply played it out
Hmm.
through the
Me
pubs,
too,
but
yeah.
with the dramatic elements as the driving story. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, definitely.
it would. I think they would have been up to it as makers. They don't need to be wild like this.
Hmm.
In when the Redux version comes out of as well, so they're gonna reshoot it without the blanks.
Yeah, definitely. I think it could work like that. And I think this is the moment of the film where, if you don't know what you're getting into when you first watch it all kind of gets a bit strange quite fast.
And
All
you
of a
would
sudden it's
think
turned into
this
Doctor
is
Who.
exactly. You would think that this is them desperately trying to get past the censors, but it's a really neat design choice by having these be plastic dolls, and that's why they break so easily. And I think they said on the commentary that this is a movie about looking back on youth and trying to recap your youth, and that would sort of include action figures. And
Yeah.
so there's an element to that. It's not just to get past like the American censors by having blue blood or whatever, which is the classic story. Like when they first made not first made, but when they made Evil Dead 2, they did so much variation of the fountains of blood in that movie, where it was blue and green and red every now and again, and that got them past the MPAA easily. There were no objections to, but in the past, whenever they did feature bloodshed, red bloodshed, it was just immediately like X. You're an offensive and pornographic product all of a sudden.
Yeah, so we have fight choreography here by the late great Mr. Brad Allen, which is pretty damn good for a cast of non-martial artists. I think they end up kind of looking pretty good, to be honest.
They
with the help of some stellar choreography,
but I didn't look up the person's last name. Damien something was fight choreographer on the show. But I didn't know Brad Allen had gone through the Jackie Chan stunt team group and into not Hollywood, but obviously it's English cinema, the British cinema, but it's obviously spread out all over the world, including to Hollywood. And apparently he did similar duties on the Kingsman. I was about to say the Kingsman speech, but no, the Kingsman.
That would have been an interesting film.
And as recently as Shang-Chi, he worked on the stunt.
I took my son to go see Shang-Chi, and after the mid-sequence clip, they also have their flashy credits for all the cast name. Then it's another clip teasing another movie. And as soon as that finished, the first credit that come up would say an action choreographed by Brad Allen.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude. I think he worked with Wright on a couple of films. I think he did Scott Pilgrim as well, which is kind of like this hyper kind of stylized, which has hyper stylized martial arts fight sequences.
I mean, the exchanges here are pretty damn good because, as you say, all the men are there, including Nick Frost, who's a big guy. You don't expect him to move like Jackie Chan or anything, but they really are crossing lines effectively here, rather than just having Peg versus one, Frost versus one, Freeman versus one. And I think that's a sign of clever choreography where they work to each person's advantages and disadvantages.
Definitely,
because I don't think the requirement was, okay, everybody hit the gym for 6 months to do the toilet fight. No, they worked with what they had and rehearsed and prepared. And you can't do this all loosey-goosey either, because as the guys explained in the commentary, there's a special effects budget to have in mind. Everything needs to be planned out because we need to budget for special effects. So it's not just physical. There's a lot of CG blood, and obviously when the body parts are flying all over the place. There's you can't be all Hong Kong cinema about it and make it up on the day.
No, I think it was a bit too Hong Kong cinema. It would take away from the reality of the situation a little bit. You know, I think it works well, and it plays, as I said, it plays to their strengths, and just kind of it fits well. It doesn't feel kind of we're stopping for a fight scene now. It feels like it flows with the story, which I think is perfect for this film.
and also it's thankfully Edgar, while he might not have an eye towards Hong Kong cinema like you guys have and I have, clearly someone could decide that this can be shot with clarity and not be obscured with way too shaky camera work or way too poor edits to disrupt flow. There is a sense of let the guy with experience working with Jackie Chan have his input here. Definitely. And I think you can see that in a variety of scenes that are in that one, and a variety of scenes that are coming up without it being, let's parody the Matrix, let's parody Crouching Tiger. It's not it's not on that level or anything,
Yeah, definitely. I just noticed that, Stu, as you said, you talking about the numbers. I just noticed it's shots for something now every day.
Oh yeah, every day 4 till 7.
4 till 7. Yeah, I started to see it. It's not something I knew until you told me. So it's again, there's just more stuff that's kind of unraveling with each viewing, which I think is awesome. It makes it very satisfying. It makes it a very satisfying film to return to.
It's funny. Another thing they said about working with Brad Allen and the other fight choreographer Damien, whatever his last name is, I'm terribly sorry.
Shout out.
Shout out to the guy, Damien. Wright says for every 2 ideas that they had in the script and the storyboards, the choreographers had 4. So obviously they had major input and could enhance stuff that's quickly written in the script. The Lou fight. You can't write that script. You need to work it out.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if you love a genre or love a certain kind of element of cinema, it doesn't mean that you're going to be good at putting it on celluloid. You need to bring someone in to capture that, and I think Edgar Wright had the kind of good thinking to bring a kind of a specialist in who knew what he was doing. Who's gorgeous.
I'll go open another beer, I think.
What, after that gag? Is it forced?
It might be more palatable
to drink you.
I've already knocked a tin of Noon Whistle's Cosmo Pale Ale.
How was that, man?
It was alright. It was a bit fruity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had this one before, so it's quite nice. 5% volume, but
one of your beer 52s.
I'm going to try the Restless Years Pale Ale. Now, I didn't like it last time, but since I got another tin for free, why not? But this is the beer that is Pale Ale with rye.
Okay, that's interesting.
What the fuck is rye, and why are they putting it in my beer?
It's what whiskey's made with. I'm assuming that it has kind of maybe a whiskey flavor to it. Report back once you've tasted it, please.
I'm just gonna drink it from the tin because I don't trust it.
So how do you reckon the drunk acting is, guys? Is this convincing? Try to act sober or unbothered while you're completely plastered?
It's good. I think it's very it's natural and it's quite authentic, especially towards the end of the film. It never goes too far into, never goes too broad, I think.
Sponsored by Foster's, do you think?
Which is also, oh man, definitely. There's Foster's. Yeah, there's Cronenberg. I saw John Smith in the first pub, so I was on the lookout this time. I'm gonna quit look, but yeah, there's no specific specific beer that they drink apart from Foster's. So maybe so, mate. Maybe so. But I'm not going to drink that for this evening. You cannot force me. So we'll just watch these guys enjoy it instead.
And because I can, and you guys can't stop me, I'm gonna exit for a minute or two for a bathroom break. So
you don't have a
good,
bucket
man.
in the room.
So I'll just not anymore. So I'll just be back whenever I'm back.
You haven't got your piss bag connected up tonight.
Yeah, what about this alcohol-free cider?
I think he's left. I think he's left.
Oh, for fuck's
He's
sake.
already gone.
Does he do this for 88 films? Does he take a piss break for the Armour of God Blu-ray?
It's just so rude. Jesus, professionalism. Come on, we want a little bit more of it. How was the beer, Stu?
The beer with rye is very harsh. I guess maybe
Really?
it does have like that whiskey kick.
That's
It
really
just doesn't
interesting,
blend
man.
well.
No, I'd be interested to try it, but I don't know whether. Yeah, I don't know whether they would. I know a lot of people drink Boilermakers together. They mix the whiskey with the beer, but I don't know whether. I don't know. I think it would take away from both of them, really. try towards the back end of the commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When I've got the thirst and my inhibitions are low. So is this what bar is it? Is this the trusty servant they're in now?
I think you may be. Yeah, you are. You're right.
Mhm.
Which most of the pubs have names that kind of hint at what actually happens during their time in the pub.
Right.
And this is one of them, the trusty servant, obviously being a drug dealer.
Yeah.
The first post is the first bar that they enter. The Old Familiar is exactly the same as the first one.
Mhm.
Gary's finally recognised as the banned teenager in The Famous Cock. They work together during a fight at the Cross Hands.
Yep.
All the guys are acting like they're happy except Gary, which is reflected in the sign for the Good Companion, which shows 4 sad masks and a happy one, which was our previous pub. As you said, the drug dealer, Reverend Green, is in this one, and the pub's called the Trusted Servant. As we go on, the next one will be the Bitchy Twins are met in the Two-Headed Dog.
Oh yeah.
And the mermaid, the characters are tempted to their downfall by beautiful women, and that's all I'm going to say until
We've
later
got
on.
that cunt from the League of Gentlemen, or
They do.
The Extraordinary League of Gentlemen.
I think that's
just a League of Gentlemen.
I think that's Sean Connery's last film.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean.
Shortened to the League in other parts of the
Was it
world,
really?
just because words are hard.
Words are extremely hard, but yeah, I'm not going to say any more. If this is your first viewing, I don't know why you'd be watching it with our commentary, but different strokes and all that, so I'll hold off.
And if you pay attention, Martin Freeman is rather cheerful after his bathroom break.
Spoilers, Ken.
I like the little bit where we passed it, where Simon Pegg talks of me and the Reverend had a sophisticated code in terms of dealing drugs.
Yeah.
He knocks 5 times. Have you got any drugs?
It's
Oh,
yeah.
look, it's that country's face.
It's good. Yeah. Can't remember the fella's name now, but yeah, this has got, as I say, great cast of British actors, comedic actors, comedians, and even showing up in smaller roles like this one.
And I love how obviously they're the network they've obviously overheard the dialogue from the first pub, so they want to present a bartender that Peg will automatically like, because he says all the things that he wants to know, and it's obviously so robotic and faked and stored. It's data that's stored, that's being delivered, and they don't quite get that because they're sort of they're wincing, they're squinting, and Peg does a wonderful thing. I think it's great drunk acting when your elbow slips off the table. Not slurring, but when you're not in control of your facilities, your body, your limbs, and what have you. So
yeah, it's great. It's all very natural and works really well. Especially this conversation they have about naming the blanks and what name they should kind of come up with, and everything happens in a moment with Peg and kind of going out into the garden, and he comes back and they're still having the conversation. I think it's very funny and very realistic.
And the most obvious signs of anyone being blank is in the costume design, where they dress them in blue in a variety of blue outfits, scarves and jackets and what have you, which is not being too obvious, but a telling sign of who's who, and probably a very detail-oriented idea from the network in this case. We're gonna be blue.
Yeah, it works really well.
Even the toilet walls are blue.
Oh yeah.
So the toilet is blank. And scenarios like this, like an entire town replaced by aliens, taken over by the undead, it certain other decades make this scenario more fun, but I think in the hands of Wright and Peg, because they wrote it, they're genre lovers. They're sort of able to transfer
definitely
to a modern film. There's some vibes of Body Snatchers here, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where everyone, turning in unison and staring, and they don't do a sort of shriek that appears in the Body Snatchers movies. Exactly, but their eyes light up at one point when they're stalking these guys, when they're chasing these guys later in the movie, and so they do it. But I can definitely see that Body Snatchers is turning up here. But that movie has been remade so many times, whether called Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something else. So it's not a shame.
Yeah.
A shameful thing. I mean, even Daniel Craig and Nicole Kidman did a movie that essentially was Body Snatchers, but wasn't called that. It might have been called Invasion or something like that. So half a reference to that famous movie that's been remade 3 times or something. And my favorite Invasion of the Body Snatchers is still the Abel Ferrara version from 1993. I think that's great.
Yeah, that is really good. Really good.
Forrest Whitaker is in it for a bit, and it really coming from a sort of grimy, sleazy director like Abel Ferrara, like Driller Killer, Miss 45, King of New York, and then Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It was really like, and he's like he seems like he's not a product of Hollywood. Let's just say that Abel Ferrara, he's his own guy with his own quirks.
No, there's some really good remakes around that time. I don't know whether you've seen the Blob remake, Ken, but that's really good as well. And I mean, the Night of the Living Dead remake, not so hot, but I think a lot of that got lost on the cutting room floor, sadly.
I mean, the reason that was also made was to finally get Romero to retain more of a copyright on the movie, because they messed up the copyright one when they made the original 1968 movie. So that's why Night of the Living Dead probably has more video releases of any movie in history, because it was public domain. It became public domain. So I think they tried to retain, did that as a way of doing that, but also to update it a little bit. Yeah. That remake is not bad because they reverse some of the characteristics. Like the main female character is much more proactive and comes out of her shell. But you're right, a lot of the gore was cut from that, so it seems like a very sanitized zombie movie, considering you're used to Tom Savini, who directed that, to make some of the most disgusting gore.
Yeah, absolute madman, but a genius.
This is nightmare material right here.
Yeah, this is weird. This is not doing a lot for me right now, apart from just fear.
It's that action figure theme again, that they put their feet are on where their hands are supposed to be, and they can just connect them in any way they can and still continue fighting. So I don't think this is necessarily scary, because it's blue and it's not dismemberment, it's not gory fleshy body parts, it's puppet parts. almost. But those twins looked apart, and especially the more they're dislodged from their body, you know, like look at that, just the smashy. What was it? Smashy eggy man.
Eggman.
Like
Yeah.
But some of the best ideas you've had,
Frost
guys,
has
have
become
been
unglued.
when
Yeah.
drinking, right?
Yeah, I really like Glenn Frost's character now, kind of, as you say, I'm ungluing, kind of, chilling out a little bit and kind of going with the vibe and mellowing out. He's got some great physical comedy coming up like that.
He breaks the window. Nick Frost broke the window.
Yeah, he's got some great stuff coming up now that he's in his drunken state.
Now, outside of these Edgar Wright films, is there any particular favourite roles that you like to see Simon Pegg or Nick Frost in?
Interesting.
Not necessarily together, because I know they did do. Was it Paul?
Was it
with
yeah?
Seth Rogen? That was a laugh. I did quite enjoy it.
Paul was alright.
Yeah, Paul was fun. I did enjoy that. I was gonna say I'm trying to think, but the only thing that I've seen outside, well, not the only thing, but something I have seen outside of his collaborations with Wright was Big Nothing with David Schwimmer.
Right.
You've seen that, which kind of came and went. It's like a black comedy. I don't think a lot of people have really heard about it, but it's a strange film, but very interesting. And I can't quite remember a lot about it, but it's quite dark and it's very different to what Pegg normally does. But I also like Run Fat Boy Run a lot as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Dylan
pretty
Moran.
underrated. Yeah, that's a really great film.
Here, Wright, by the way, is he's a major fan of like Italian movies, so this is clearly like straight out of the Suspiria book of cinematography.
Oh man, yeah, definitely, man, definitely.
So the little Mario Bava, Dario Argento influence here in that just complete stark blue light, and it's marvelous. Mario Bava is the godfather of that, and Dario went with that style and ran with it when he took over the Giallo mantle.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I think the poster, I think you see the School Disco poster coming up maybe after this scene, but it's definitely a tribute to, well, it's definitely, but it feels to me like a very obvious homage to Lamberto Bava's Demons. You know, stylistically,
For sure.
you know, the bad guys, the blanks in general, but I feel like the poster itself, it really pushes the influence home, especially this scene. The way it's
a little
lit.
clue with Freeman, by the way, they said if you his blank version doesn't have the O on him because they stored his DNA and they recreated him minus the burn mark that he has the O, and it's a little clue that you might pick up on first or second viewing. But there's that kind of logic that the network isn't perfect because they've stored a version of these guys, and that's why Rosamund Pike is going to see a childhood crush of hers that's still essentially not unchanged, but very young still, it seems.
Yeah.
Rosamund Pike's character's coming across like something out of Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, Crumbs, the catchphrase. Yeah. Shu, you were saying about Simon Pegg, were you about to name your...
he's got a good sideline in the Mission Impossible franchise.
Definitely, yeah. He's been doing a lot more kind of big budget, like blockbuster movies, sequels recently. But yeah, I think he was on a good run, kind of. Maybe
and his parts get bigger in them as they go on.
Yeah, definitely. I think about 10 or 15 years ago, he was making maybe smaller films. But yeah, he's got huge recently. Star Trek and Star Wars and. Yeah,
how was his Scottish accent, Stuart?
He could get away with it. It has been a while since I've watched one, but
I didn't know, by the way, that the original actor was in the Star Trek movies. Dewey, possibly James Dewey or Doohan. He was Canadian. I didn't know that. I didn't think he was Scottish, but I didn't know he was Canadian.
They couldn't find anyone with a Scottish accent that you could understand. That's what the problem was. So people have to put it on to make it, sanitize it a little bit, kind of clear it up a little bit, right?
And if you didn't know he was Scottish, he was called Scotty.
Yeah, speaking of Nick Frost, I hear that Cuban Fury was really good, but I never got around to seeing it. I've heard that's pretty good, pretty good role for him.
I think I did. Maybe watched it when it kind of came out on DVD back in the day, but fuck, I can't remember it now.
Yeah.
But a good one of his is Fighting with My Family.
Ah, yeah. Is that the one with The
film
Rock?
It's Florence
really
Pugh, and it's the story of the true story of this young English girl becoming like a WWE wrestler, and she comes from a well-established, known British family of wrestlers. And Nick Frost plays the dad, Ricky Knight. And for what you see of all the trailers, he shares a phone call with The Rock. He's playing himself.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, it's The Rock. He's like, yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel, mate. And he hangs up on him.
That's awesome.
But Nick Frost also kind of has his ties with Hong Kong cinema as well, because he did that series with Daniel Wu, Into the Badlands.
Ah, I remember. I remember us talking about this when it first dropped, and I never got around to seeing it. Anybody seen it?
It's supposed to be really good. I mean, I simply haven't. But even for TV, they've allowed the fight choreography to sort of be top notch. In that one, Stephen Fung was one of the showrunners and producers of the film, and I think he had a hand in the choreography, even though he's not a martial artist director necessarily, but he's got enough experience where he can sort of put forth ideas, and it's apparently very good on that level too. So, but you're right. Now that you say it, he got onto American TV.
And Rosamund Pike herself, obviously, I feel like she's kind of been not recreated in the last few years, but ever since Gone Girl, I've paid a lot more attention to her. But I think it was earlier this year. It was I think it was an Amazon movie called I Care a Lot. Was outstanding.
Yeah, I think I've heard about that.
Yeah, it was her, Peter Dinklage, and one of the actresses from Baby Driver.
Okay. Any good?
Yeah, definitely. It's got like a dark premise where Rosamund Pike's character more or less preys on the elderly and ends up getting them to sign their houses over to them and assigns them into care, and then they sell all of their goods and just make a mint off of them, and also helping out like the care homes by getting them clients. But she ends up not housing the wrong person, which happens to be the mother of like a gangster, played by Peter Dinklage.
Ah, okay. Awesome. Here we have Pierce coming into the film here. I've heard on the grapevine he was James Bond at one point, but
most
that
famously
could
known
be just
for
a
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, 100%. That could just be,
Around the world in 80 days, for God's sake. F-Train.
Come on.
That cunt was involved in a drive-by fruiting.
There we go.
He was Iceland's most handsome man in the Eurovision movie.
Yeah, as well.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck. Play Zha Zha Ding Dong.
A man with many feathers in his bow.
They're so good at being drunk, and they're out of it, and they're sort of paying attention, and it's not reaching some of them that he's acting all too weird for this to be proper and real, that he's there and he's already poured them a lager each.
Well, what are they? Like 8 pints in now? I think I'd be falling asleep at this point, to be honest.
Past the mermaid.
The mermaid.
Maybe the beehive.
The bee. I think the bee. Yeah.
The pub names of the illustrations of each pub have some tarot card like illustrations as well.
Yeah, we said that while you were having a pee.
Right on.
But you can expand, Kenny, because I stopped it at the mermaid.
The real pub names, though, apparently. So they did.
Yeah.
They probably had to clear real pub names as well. You know, whatever it was called, the cock something. It's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of this, well, I think I've spoke about this once before with my parents, saying if they're a fan of The World's End, and they said, "Oh, we love it. We go there all the time," and it kind of like took me back a second. Now, this is some Caucasian Sammo Hung shit right here. By the
way. yeah.
Andy, that's his name, right? He's a brawler. He's a great brawler.
But yes, there is a famous pub in Edinburgh called The World's End, which do cask ales and gourmet burgers.
Ah, awesome! I heard it was in London somewhere, so maybe I misread.
There's probably a few. I imagine maybe the big cities have one each.
Yeah, you would think they would have
had a chance
opened.
to go there yet.
No, you would think they would have probably opened after this film was released, or at least everywhere renamed themselves after this film. Come in,
How many famous cocks is there in Edinburgh nowadays?
Come for a pint. Just stay for the violence.
There's some such excellent choreography with Simon trying to drink the spear. It seems so sloppy that just spill your beer all over the place.
It's
but
more
it's
like a
such
Drunken style, isn't it? Like Drunken Master kind of.
It's such precise choreography, and Brad is so good at crossing lines with performers coming in right, left, to strike, to hit, and some admirable work going on here, and so some clever wipes as well, so that the shot is divided into a reality, but it's more continual as assembled. Really was impressed by this, and it's not all like, here's Nick Frost's body double. No, it's these guys, man.
Yeah, it's a good blend of CGI as well. I think there's some practical stuff, but there's some of it CGI, but it all kind of blends together really well.
But Martin Freeman does look like this.
What, in real life? Got half
I imagine he'd just have to spend the
Did you meet him,
going back with like a green swim cap on his head.
Yeah, yeah. There's a good gag at the end of the film where they fill in his head, which is really, really good.
What was it with like half a football?
You'll have to wait and see. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Already seen it, but I still want to be reminded.
Yeah, it's with a lot of football. It's really good. Yeah, did you say this was the Beehive, Stu?
Yes,
so characters are obviously fighting off swarms of enemies. So that's kind of the as Ken was saying, the kind of tarot card of this bar in particular.
They can assemble themselves, but not when the heads are smashed to bits this much.
Yeah, that's a bit of a Humpty Dumpty situation.
Or a smashy Eggman situation.
But that's it. That's the thing you come to appreciate about Edgar Wright's films. Like, they're far more clever than they need to be. You can watch it 3 or 4 times and not know anything about the number association, the fact that the events that happen in the pub reflect the name of the pub.
Yeah.
You could just take it for what it is, but
a lot of layers.
Too fucking clever for its own good.
You know, that can be overbearing if it's too obvious as well, that we have references all over the place, but some references come and go. I mean, I spotted a very minor one, like the poster for the school disco. All the persons in the illustration in the poster had lit up eyes, you know, quite benevolent looking. So it was one of those things that doesn't look inviting, but it's easy to miss when you're on your 8th pub out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to sound, I'd hate to say they're sophisticated and kind of sound too pretentious about it, but I think they are a little bit. They step it up. They're not just kind of daft comedies. There's a lot of little bits to kind of watch the film for. That works really well on repeated viewings, as I was saying. But also, I think You know, again, he kind of wears his influence on his sleeve a little bit, but I don't think it's ever too obvious or too on the nose where you're kind of going, that's from this or that's from that. It's always very subtle, and I think if you know the film, it works, and if you don't, it just kind of works regardless, in its own right.
Yeah. The stuff I dislike isn't him taking his fandom to a too much extreme degree or anything. It's just that, for instance, I like the trajectory of Hot Fuzz going from into the thriller and even horror areas with the hidden secrets of the town, blah blah blah, and that the hidden secrets of the town included gun-toting elder people.
Yeah.
I thought like I had not spotted the parody element earlier in the film, and I didn't want it. And here's the fence callback.
Yes.
In Hot Fuzz, he clears the fence and then some. He's an acrobat of note. Peg's character. That one. But yes, I think you're right, Tom. I mean, even he's a fan to the degree where he recently made that Great Sparks documentary. So he's.
I haven't seen that, yeah, but I've heard it's really good. Look forward to seeing it.
Sparks, who wrote a song called Choi Hak and got Choi Hak, the director, to do a voiceover on it, akin to "Hello, I'm Choi Hak. I made films. I've won awards. Hello, I'm Choi Hak. I've made films."
that's all he needs to say.
I mean, that's all you need to be a fan, I suppose. They got Choi Hak or sampled him from somewhere at the very least.
He says that, and also Mickey Rourke brought his own costumes to the set.
who brought JCVD's cocaine to the set?
I think that was his missus, according to him. Very loyal. Jeez.
But Edgar's got a new film out in October. I think it's I think it's definitely got strong horror elements. Last Night in Soho.
Oh, okay. Is there a trailer for that yet?
Yes, there's a couple. It's strange. The second trailer came out last week, and they actually kind of suggested people not to watch it because it gives away too much of the plot.
Okay.
So
maybe a movie that's been done for a while and the pandemic has
of course
delayed it. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of like a horror film told across two periods, like 1960s and present day.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so I'll look forward to seeing it because he hasn't done me wrong. I've like took time out of work to go see like Baby Driver in the middle of the day just because. Well, it's Edgar Wright. I like to go out of my way to kind of support his films, and 9 times out of 10 they pay off.
I mean
10 out of 10 because I haven't seen one I don't like yet.
Yeah, he always brings something really interesting. And even if you don't really quite connect with the film, it's got a lot of interesting things to kind of keep on the lookout for and to enjoy. So, yeah, man, definitely a filmmaker I always tend to keep an eye on and see what he's doing.
Now, just bringing it back to the lager, how are you doing with your beers, Tom?
Not doing too bad. About halfway through my second bottle. How are you getting on, bud?
I've opened a tin of Cruz Blanca, a craft Mexican IPA.
Okay, a Mexican IPA. How's that working?
It's quite nice. 6%. It's just maybe a little bit like the first beer I had.
I missed that joke about King Gay during my first viewing. Actually, that was great.
Yeah, it's maybe a notch above the Cosmo Pale Ale.
Nice, man. Sounds good.
Yeah,
more
quite enjoying it.
Like a lager or.
No, it's an IPA.
Okay.
Right. Oh, they class it as a Chicago IPA.
Oh, so it's a Mexican Chicago IPA.
Yeah. I'm just gonna pour it into a glass now.
I'm struggling to keep track with all the different.
Well, that's it. They've got 2 different titles in the tin. So who do I believe?
Different titles and
it's got El Trade Chicago IPA. Another side, Cruz Blanca, craft Mexican beer.
Okay. I've had Mexican lager before, but never a Mexican IPA. So Let me know how you get on, man. But yeah, the Banks is going down very well.
Just bear with me for like 10 seconds, guys.
Okay, mate, no worries.
What about Eddie
So
Marson? He's an underrated fella.
you think so?
Yeah, I know he's kind of been in everything. But I did enjoy his role in Filth.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. He's not one of those guys that's ever been a real kind of starring role kind of guy. Always a
No,
very
he's-
very good character actor. But he's in a lot of stuff. Whether it be kind of big blockbusters or smaller.
Yeah, I'm looking at his filmography
British
now, and he's
films.
got credits in like Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool 2.
Yeah, he's in loads of stuff. I remember Gangs of New York.
Right.
I think was when I first saw him in that. But yeah, yeah, definitely is, man. I remember he's in The Man Who Knew Too Little, isn't he? As like a mugger, the Bill Murray
All
film. Which is
I
I don't know
remember him
whether
from The Winds and the Willow as a kid.
is he a kid? Was he a child actor in that? Is he?
Fuck knows.
I don't remember that one, man. No, I don't remember that one. But yeah, he's kind of a reassuring presence, I suppose. He always pops up and gives a really good performance. But yeah, it's a bit sad when he gets his
Yeah, you need to show the draining, the takeover to some
Yeah.
degree, I suppose, which is not pleasant. I mean, the movie never really gets scary as such because it's not gory horror, but it's the friendship it's established, and you don't want to lose these guys necessarily. Martin Freeman was taken off screen, and we can sort of catch up, and here we get to see it a little bit more up close, so it matters a little bit more.
Definitely.
We build, we improve, we perfect, so that's ominous if anything is.
And I would just like to point out, like our corrections department, Eddie Marson has never been in The Winds and the Willow.
Okay.
He just looks like, just because the cunt looks like a toad doesn't even mean he's in the film, all right, Stuart? Jesus Christ.
Oh, come on. You can't do him dirty like that.
But he has been in Casualty and The Bill.
That's, well, do you know what I mean? That's,
British Institute right there.
yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Yeah, he's a great actor. Very The Day the Earth Stood Still kind of vibes from that particular piece of modern art, which gets up and starts walking around.
Don't be surprised if it actually was exactly that, when they designed that.
Yeah. We're the King's Head here, which is where, going with our kind of tarot card theme, where Gary actually finds his head and decides to move on regardless with the pub crawl. Which is, I think, is our 10th pub now. So
Yes.
you'll be pretty pissed up at this point of the night. I mean, if anything, like, I know it's not. I mean, I think when it gets to this point in the film, it's definitely miles away from what it set out as. But I think, amongst other things, this film's like the ultimate love letter to a night out on the piss, which I like about it.
If all else goes wrong, you take it in your stride.
That's it, man. The highs, the lows. It's awesome.
I mean, there's a discussion to be had, but not quite yet if it all ends up well or not. But I suppose we can store that question for later, because there's an argument, I think, for both. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys feel that the finale is it's moving its kind of way up to the finale? I kind of felt when I first saw it, the finale was maybe a bit too long, but I do really enjoy it now.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you guys feel?
I feel like I don't mind it, but it's probably just because I don't remember it really I do know it kind of has like a wasteland feel at the end, and you finally get that cornetto gag that you've been sitting and waiting for the last hour and a half.
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, they got a mint one. Right, I could go home now.
Yeah, I think that on top of the kind of resolution that they have in the present.
They seem by the way, very, they run past Peg, so they're not sharp as blank creatures.
Yeah.
They don't turn around in time, and they sort of seem lost very easily. They break easily, and their radar seems to be very off for some reason, which is a fun guy. You can run below this guy, and that's fine. And he's probably stuck in the ground for 10 minutes.
I think
here, like the design of the guys with the blue lights from their palms and their eyes. This what makes me think so much of like Doctor Who nowadays. Even though I've never really paid attention to like the modern interpretation of Doctor Who series, but it's kind of like your Cybermen or Daleks, just kind of this pulsing blue lights, just kind of to put people into submission.
Yeah.
And this poor cunt's just trying to chug a pint.
Gets a mental literally here, because as he's going to explain, Peg, that this means more to him than even deadly peril than this, and it's quite felt, because the sort of psychological roadmap doesn't need to make sense, but it still means the world to him to do this. And
it's a great scene.
He might not he might not think to himself that everything will be solved after this, but it's simply something he needs to do. He needs to put down one puzzle piece and complete one puzzle at the very least, and whatever happens after that happens. I don't know if the intent is that he's actually escaped from a mental hospital or not, because he still has his patient's tag in a scene in a bit here, but
I think it was a suicide attempt. I think with the bandages on the wrists.
Right.
I think that's what they were shooting for. The previous pub was the hole in the wall, and the car drove through the wall to create a hole.
Welcome, join our club.
So we have the final pub. As I say, Ken, he gets a great kind of scene here with some great dialogue. It's like the kind of emotional resolution of the film in some respect.
Yeah, these guys can play off each other even in the dramatic scenes. Again, Hot Fuzz demonstrated that as they had their Point Break Bad Boys 2 a double header at home, but also the scene when, spoilers, Nick Frost is bitten and turns to a zombie by the end. They're sort of final goodbyes. They're nicely underplayed and heartfelt scenes. So these guys can play off each other dramatically, and they're not just clowns, obviously.
Definitely. I mean, I think they'd have such a they've been working for so long at this point together as well, and produce so much stuff together, working as kind of a double act that I think at this point, as you say, Ken, it all comes very naturally, whether it be comedic or dramatic. It's good. There's a good little payoff for Nick Frost's character then as well with the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just punched my wedding ring out of a robot's tummy. Exactly. Fight for what's important.
You're not on CBeebies. It's all right. You don't need to use the word tummy. When it comes to the number association, the signage, supposedly there's a point where it says last drinks at 12 p.m. since this is 12th pub.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, they're bandages and patients tags. Okay, gotcha.
Aww. Not all as in cute, as in this is sad.
Yeah.
This means a lot to him.
I mean, Simon is so on and so amped in the movie, but he doesn't go overboard with the melodrama.
No, I don't
think you know what I mean? Because he's 110% when he's having a good time, and he does cocaine, obviously, so he needs to act a little bit more amped there. But it's he finds this place. He's good at that.
I agree. Yeah, I really do agree. I think at this point you're fully sympathizing with the character, and there's been definitely a bit of a 180 in terms of what the character was kind of like at the start of the film. And yeah, this is we're at the world's end, and literally the world ends.
Is it this part, Stuart, that you thought this extended dialogue here in the underground that you thought was going on for too long, or?
Yeah, I think it's the scene that's coming up where I was like, all right, okay, we're going there.
Yeah, I think it's just this, and then the kind of the post-apocalyptic scene on the end as well. Maybe a bit too long in hindsight, but I think
they've ended up in an underground car park. How weird.
I think on the first viewing you feel that, but I think once you know what to expect, it works a lot better.
It sort of made me ponder after I sat down and watched it, especially when it came to the choice that Simon Pegg's character makes for humanity.
Yeah,
and that's what I was talking about earlier. If this is really a happy ending, because humanity loses all its technology, it goes back to medieval times, but they make do. There is a life they can live. There's crops to be done and harvested and all of that. It's not like they drop a bomb on the nation in and nothing ever works ever again. But Simon's character, he gets to relive the adventures of going around with his friends to different establishments, and you wonder if that is a win or him on a loop again, a bad psychological loop. And I suppose that answer is not clear cut. It's up to you to determine whether him being a king in the end, if that's a win for him. So he certainly is happier, but how long can that happiness be sustained? And I think that's deliberate. We're not going to answer that as filmmakers, kind of deal.
Definitely, it's not really a happy or a sad ending. It's kind of somewhere in the middle.
Because he gets a chance to be young again, but not by being a blank, by simply reliving. He has his blanks with him, but they apparently can't, especially not when they're cut off from the network, that they can't obviously absorb him. So because I was reminded of not that this is a clear cut sort of connection, but I was reminded of what happens in Freds, if you guys remember Freds.
Jeez.
And obviously when the nukes hit Britain, nuclear winter, and there's no harvest at all, and there's no way to rebuild. But in this case, we lose technology, but we don't lose nature and the fertility of the earth. It's just that we're sort of we don't have Wi-Fi anymore, so we have to deal with the earth instead and make do. And they certainly do, even though it's a wasteland, as you said.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's the answer is up in the air whether Simon Pegg's character is in a good place or not. But I think humanity does what it can based on what it has, and even though technology is completely wiped, so it's not terribly sort of pessimistic, I think.
Big lamp always gets me.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's too pessimistic at all. I think that it's definitely got a commentary, or it's saying a few things, but it's not too pessimistic. And yeah, as you say, you kind of make up your own mind with kind of the ending it presents.
And even drunkards can make noble and detailed and nuanced sense, even by the 12th point. So
Yeah, they're definitely far too drunk at this point to be coherent.
And
Certainly not
did you
intimidated
recognise?
by. Yeah.
Sorry, Ken, I mean to step on your toes there, but did you recognise the voice of the network?
Well, I didn't, but I think the commentary revealed that they place Bill Nye's voice all over this movie, and
Yes.
that might be him right now.
Yeah.
Because you can hear Bill Nye on the phone and in various other places as the voice of telephone operators or other things. But yeah, so was Bill Nye at all in Hot Fuzz? I didn't spot him as such, but he's certainly in Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah,
There was a lot of old cunts I know in Hot Fuzz. So
yeah, he's the actor, isn't he? The guy who does the plays, who stars in Romeo and Juliet.
No, I don't think that's him.
that's the guy for Shameless.
Oh, it is, man. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, yeah. You're right, mate. I don't think so. Then maybe in a cameo, but I don't know off the top of my head.
It seemed like they managed to recycle a fair amount of the Shaun of the Dead cast. The lady who played his mother, I think, is briefly in it in Hot Fuzz, and yeah. So busy actors, though. They're not all waiting for Edgar Wright's phone call.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Nye is he's one of the inspectors at the beginning, isn't he, with Steve Coogan?
Yes, the chief inspector. Because they say, do we really need to call down the chief inspector? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he's already there. It's like behind the door.
Yeah.
You're right.
Man, I mean the amount of like dialogue and kind of it's just really well thought out, this last little bit, and the kind of final confrontation with the network itself. Yeah, it's just so much kind of coming at the end. It's crazy.
Now, fair enough. We went with this film. I couldn't guarantee we'd expect the same amount of sort of nuance and well thought out shit if we did watch Beer Fest, which was my original suggestion for commentary.
What's that about?
Well, it's kind of like Fight Club, but with beer.
We don't talk about the beer though. We can't.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
the number one rule.
secret drinking games during Oktoberfest. And 4 Americans get schooled, and then they spend a year training to become ultimate beer drinkers, including the beer drinking games.
So it's
nuanced. Go back and take on the Germans.
It sounds like one of those like American Pie presents.
I'm gonna say, you describing World War II or what's going on, Stu? I'm a bit confused now.
It's the Broken Lizard group, the guys that done Super Troopers and
but are they in it though, or did they just?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay,
all 4 of them, and it is actually, well, to me, I quite enjoyed it. It's been 5 years since I've watched it.
Yeah, but I wasn't big on Super Troopers, so I don't know how I get down with that, but
I really enjoyed the sequel. I think when the sequel came out,
I remember. Yeah,
like I think it was Club Dread, Super Troopers, Beer Fest, and they're just kind of maybe not nostalgia, but just fuck, it was an easy watch. It was a good laugh.
Sometimes all you want, man. To be honest.
Mm-hmm. So now that we've done the only other beer movie, Beer Fest is next, guys.
See you for the 2-year anniversary, guys.
2 weeks. Let's just do it in a fortnight. Come on.
Okay.
I don't remember how they retrieve Martin Freeman from this explosion, because he's soon.
I was gonna say,
or they retrieve his blank copy from elsewhere, his original something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just occurred to me that he just fell over and his head got smashed in the same way again. But yeah,
and they couldn't put them together again. Is that Pub Crawl's complete?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna call that complete.
Look, it's the Johnny for Harry Potter.
It's not complete unless things are on fire. So I'm gonna call it complete. Very complete.
I simply can't remember if I've seen more than 2 movies with Rosamund Pike, the Bond movie and Gone Girl.
No, me neither, man.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Well, she's great. She's reprehensive in Gone Girl, and she's absolutely amazing. And I can't remember which Bond movie she's in. The one with the fencing stuff.
Was he with Pierce Brosnan? Because I don't know
Yes.
whether he was Bond or
Yes.
not.
Because I can't keep track of those. World is not enough or Die Another Day. Which
That
one
is
is
that-
which?
it's
Definitely
Diana
the
the-
later ones. I think it's The World Is Not Enough.
That is Die Another Day because she's yeah, she. Well, I don't give you spoilers, but she's in that.
So is that the one with
Don't hold it out on me.
Well, she's like a double agent in it, isn't she?
is that the one with Sophie Marceau or whatever her name is?
No, that's World Is Not Enough.
Because I liked
Die
her
Another
in that.
Day, that's the
Yeah.
one with Halle Berry.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Which is the one with the ice cave? That
Die Another Day. Yeah, it's a great scene. Yeah, with the invisible car as well. The bank.
Is that
Those
the one
two
that's got
are
Matt
like-
Mickelson? No, that's Casino Royale, isn't it?
in a real, yeah.
Russell
we're getting so we're getting so mixed up here.
I mean, those 2 or 3 remaining Brosnan movies, they blend together with me. I don't like them in particular, so that's my.
I give them a rewatch, man. I think they're all really good. I think GoldenEye is best, but the other 3 are really good too.
Yeah.
And here
Boom goes the world.
And here we are, yeah. So we're coming to the finale now. And the interesting thing about the finale is that a lot of these sequences or the scenes from the intro are kind of here but mirrored, which I think is the kind of a really interesting choice.
The opening with the youths, or they mirror the first
The
sequence with
opening-
the adults.
Yeah, with the introduction of our characters in the present day.
Right.
And kind of bookends the film in a way that I think it's quite interesting. Again, not something you really notice on the first time viewing it.
They're going to sit on their arse in a field.
I think that's what I'd do in this.
The world's ending. Aye,
in
fuck
this
it. Why not?
situation.
Blue blood on their shoes, and you realize that life is not going to get any better than this, I guess.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's good because it's not. I say it's not resolved really. It's kind of a bit up in the air, which I like.
But yeah, I never thought anything felt tagged on to add to 110 minutes. I didn't expect this code necessarily. So I was sort of surprised that, they went there. They went with the post-apocalypse, and even with Shaun of the Dead, you'd expect if they did a 2 there, then eventually we could end up here. It seems like things are manageable towards the end of Shaun of the Dead, but as we've learned through the Romero films, that humans do not cooperate very well. So
Yeah, I think it works well. I think it really works well. This little kind of coda and gives a somewhat kind of fulfilling ending or conclusion to Gary's story, because he reaches bar number 13 at the very end. So he's going into overtime now.
and humans have water still, apparently clean water still. So it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Earth.
Yeah, I was gonna say they haven't got the computers anymore, but we got water. We'll be
The
okay.
film's not that dated. Where's an iPad? Oh, there it is. Oh,
The
Can
only
always have
reason
those.
you can place these 3 movies in a box set is because of that
The only
1
reason.
second shot.
Yeah, only reason.
that can
that-
almost
glad
his hands
this
on a
is
mint cornetto.
Yeah, I'm glad they slipped it in. To be honest.
Okay, they awoke through. Okay, I thought this place was annihilated. So, but they
We
woke
did
up
see-
in the rubble.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember watching it the first time and looking out for the cornetto scene, and eventually it arrived, and I was very happy. Otherwise, I would have hated the film completely.
And humans do what humans do. We discriminate. He hasn't lost his attitude. He hasn't lost his salesmanship. Don't,
What was that? A fucking football? Like?
don't.
He's turning to Wilson.
Yeah. It's
His family doesn't really notice that it's different.
yeah.
That arguably either Adam's Family reference or Evil Dead 2 reference there with the loose hand crawling about the place.
Could be a bit of both, to be honest, man.
If Edgar Wright's generation is the sort of Evil Dead generation, though, I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
In his view, that would be he'd be delighted by that personally, even if no one else noticed. But hey, it's Evil Dead 2, so.
Hell yeah.
And I think they mentioned briefly, or someone did. I'm getting they talk about they're working with the director of photography that shot Army of Darkness as well. So they sort of felt like this fight scene is a little bit like Army of Darkness, whatever fight scene they were referring to. So Bill Pope, who shot The Matrix after Army of Darkness, so he went through the Raimi school of madness onto the Wachowski technical mastery, and here.
What a ride! What a ride! Yeah, I like this because the ending's almost like Gary. He's got his kind of crew back, and they're kind of reliving maybe the kind of same night out over and over again a little bit, which I think is it's a very fitting ending.
It seems like these characters are plucked from like a Mad Max universe.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And
two pints, prick.
And who knows if they get a little creative vibe going again? These two, Wright and Pegg. We're gonna get the spin-off movie,
so, man.
The King.
Yeah,
Turn of the King.
That's already been done, Ken. Which, funny enough, I think that's what he references now, doesn't he? The pose that Orlando Bloom's character, I can't remember his name now, Return of the King does.
Not
very
not the Viggo
Mortensen.
Mortensen.
Yeah, sorry, man. It might be
It's
Viggo,
actually the King.
Is it? Yeah, that would make more sense. Yes, it's last shot.
So. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's not cool to make a Lord of the Rings reference, but sure.
Wow, guys. Well, the credits are here. What a fantastic ride. We hope you've all dug it as much as we have. Guys, have you enjoyed yourselves?
Good fun talking with you guys and the film.
Definitely, yeah, I completely agree. It's a film that grows on me every time I watch it, and yeah, lovely film to watch along with you guys and a few brewskis. What about you, Stu?
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Just to kind of get back into the habit of drinking beers in front of a microphone and talking to you cunts. Your voices are coming out my telly. It's like I'm watching a commentary and talking over it at the same time.
Has it been that long since you guys did this in a regular podcast format?
Yeah, it's been too long.
June or July?
Like a week?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
No, it's been a few months, man. It's been too long, but
aside of the summer at least.
Yeah, but season 3 of the logs will be coming at you very soon. It's at the Logs for our social media. We've just recently hit 400 followers, Stu.
Yes,
which is fantastic. Everybody's having just a gay old time over there. So check it out. We've got links to all of
Damian Walters, by the way.
There we go. Shout out.
Coordinator.
Sorry for getting your name. Yeah, we'll have links to all of Ken's creative endeavors in the description for the show. But Kenny, have you got anything in particular you'd like to shout out before we go? Anything coming up?
Yeah, I mean, maybe regardless if this is released in like a week or two, coming up early November, you're going to hear me and Phil Gillen on one of the audio commentaries for the 88 Films Blu-ray release of Armor of God.
Yes.
We're not the sole audio commentators on that disc. There's going to be at least...
the only ones worth listening to.
No, the other guys are great as well. You're going to hear Frank Jeng, Mike Leader, and Arne Venema at the very least. So we're going to have 3 tracks, I think, on Armor of God. So we're going to be on the deluxe collector's edition, and that's also awesome. Like the week after, they are going to release both both in the UK and the US. If not on the same date, they're going to be available in the UK and the US. 88 Films are going to put out the Shaw Brothers film Monkey Kung Fu, not Mad Monkey Kung Fu, but Monkey Kung Fu, which is an excellent martial arts film. And me and Phil Gillen are also going to do the audio commentary for that one. We are very happy to do so. So yeah, look for us on Blu-ray disc.
That's awesome. Yeah, guys, keep an eye out for that. One of many, am I right now, Ken? A lot of stuff coming out, which with your dulcet tones on, which is fantastic.
2 with 88 are confirmed.
Brilliant,
the third
man.
isn't confirmed, so I can't speak about that yet.
That's brilliant, man. Brilliant. Everyone kind of check out that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. As I was saying before, get ready for the glorious return of me and Stu's usually scheduled programming. We'll be pleasing your ears with season 3 of the Logs very soon. And I think if that's all, if nobody's got anything else.
Well, I got a question for you. Are you guys tipsy right now?
I'm kind of in that nice.
Yeah, I'm getting
zone.
there. I'm getting there. Have we got another film we could watch? No.
Yeah. Anyone got Bad Boys 2?
Another one.
How quickly could I drop Beer Fest into your boxes?
Oh.
Well, it's past my bedtime, so I'm out. I'm off.
No worries. I'm going to sit here and drink and just wait the 3 hours that it's going to take to sync, Stu. No worries, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you at 12. Yeah, little midnight recording.
Exactly.
Sounds
That's how it's done.
Sounds good to me, man. Well, guys, if that's all, we'll leave you to enjoy this absolute banging closing credit songs. Bon voyage, Booze Hounds. Say goodbye, Sten or Kitu. Which one do you guys prefer? It's like
he always spoils it on the ending. He does so well.
You know what? That
for
one's
like
a
2 hours, and
I'd
then
go
he
with
fucking
Sten,
fumbles
probably.
the ball.
I'll go Sten. Sten sounds better. It's more kind of powerful, more direct. Say goodbye, guys.
Whatever joke that was. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. Thank you, guys.
See, Tom, he's not going to come back now. We're not going to get him for Beer Fest.
We spoiled it now, man. Jeez, I was doing so well as well.
This cunt won't even watch the trailer.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to you, Ken. Really. Do you know what? I'm more sorry to myself, really.
Yeah, you should
I'm
be.
a parent.
Be ashamed of
I'm
yourself.
embarrassed. The Wild Angels, Ken. That was the film.
Right on.
With
so he went even more obscure than like
Yeah.
the easy sort of biker Peter Fonda movie. Like
with Peter Fonda, yeah. Awesome. Guys, that's it.
Now we've got about 20 seconds left. I want to hold it.
You're going to hold it now? I really need a piece, so I'm going to hold it.
That's it. Think about the Queen. Okay. That's it. Think about like dead puppies.
Yeah. Okay, that's not good. That's not doing anything for me right now, dude.
Oh, man, you're a twisted individual.
Oh, that's it. Oh, no, it's on the floor.
And that's where the podcast ends.